is how you create an advertisement. That's actually sending a package in a program to an individual collect machine or group of machines. Pretty much the same thing. You name it, you tell it what package you want it to use, what program, and what computers you want to send it to. And then when. Mandatory, or it can be voluntary, where it just shows up in an icon in the user's control panel and they can run it whenever they want, or if they decide they want it. We distribute a lot of optional software like that. Productivity applications, or licensed software that the user requests. We don't want to install it silently. We want them to know that they got what they paid for, because their department paid for a license for Creative Suite for them. They get a little icon that pops up and then they can choose to install Creative Suite. Or they can pay for it and never install it, which plenty of people do because they don't pay any attention to their computer. You can tell it to reoccur, all kinds of different options about how to schedule it. This is how clients can interact with advertisements. In their control panel, they have a Run Advertised Programs icon that opens up to this listing that reports on the advertisements that have been advertised to the machine and their status. So they can either never have been run, and then they don't, it's empty, successfully run, and then it tells you when it was last successfully run, or it can fail. And users just highlight whatever one of these they want to install and click the Run button. It goes off and runs. Okay. Some of the bonus features that you get with SMS outside the core. Microsoft provides an OS deployment pack. It's not something I've used. We use Ghost. That works fine for us, but it's a feature that's available. The update feature pack, which is kind of like WSUS, which is the window update services, except it's way more it's more. Lots more options about when updates go out. With SUS and WSUS, you approved them and they just went out. There was no, these clients get them, these clients don't get them, they get them today, reboots have to happen. This allows a lot of flexibility. On the other hand, it's a lot more work to maintain because you got to tell it all the different options that you want it to do. So we used it for a while and then we just moved back to SUS because people just need the updates from Microsoft. They have to get them all, and every month, another 10. There's also third-party plugins that are available for SMS. One of the ones that we're experimenting with is VMX management extensions for Unix. It allows you to run OpenWebM in a client on Unix machines, and then it'll talk to your SMS machine. So you can update Mac OS X, Solaris, AIX, Linux boxes, write to SMS, and send packages to it from SMS and receive hardware and software inventory. So it's a way to only have to support one enterprise management system in a diverse environment. There's also, Dell provides a BIOS firmware and driver inventory and deployment tool. So if you got in our server room, we got a whole truckload of Dell servers. We run that on our server SMS site, and it goes out automatically and checks with Dell against their drivers list, and whenever Dell releases a new driver, it's like the update feature pack for Dell servers. It doesn't work for Dell clients, just Dell servers. But it's still pretty slick for getting all that stuff on a whole room full of Dell servers. SMS does software metering. It's pretty basic software metering, basically. How many people are running this executable, whichever one you select at the same time. And SMS also has a health monitoring tool. What this does is compile statistics from a bunch of different places across the SMS database to give you a good idea of if your clients are healthy. Are they doing their hardware inventories? Are they doing their software inventories? Are they regularly checking in with the site server like they're supposed to be? And it's just it's a useful way to, management tools only work on some percentage of clients. You always have failure, and this helps you identify which machines you need to go visit and figure out why they're not working. Okay, I just spent the last week doing a review of this product. The bottom line is it's expensive. 400 machines at the educational price, $15,000. So it's a lot of money, but it provides pretty slick integration. Uses an open source piece of software called OpenWebM, developed by Novell and a couple other companies. And it really does allow all enterprise management systems to be managed, enterprise computers managed from the same system. You get more tabs in the package creation for all the different, you get an RPM tab, you get an OS X package tab, you get a tar gzip package tab, you get an whatever the AIX package management system is tab, you get 4 or 5 more tabs, and you can just import those kind of packages in there and deploy them exactly the same way you deploy any other SMS package. It's pretty slick, it's just kind of expensive. And they were unable to provide us with any references of anybody who was actually using it. So it was really cool. We have a test environment, we set it up, put up a couple Linux boxes, connected our Macs to it. It worked great, but we're not going to do it for that much money if they can't let us talk to somebody who's actually using it in production. Okay, planning. SMS is only useful if you got a domain. If you're thinking about SMS, you're probably a Windows environment, so that's Active Directory is not really an issue. You need an MS SQL server. Doesn't have to be a separate box, but useful just if you got a lot of clients, it's useful. Spend a lot of time thinking about how you want to organize the collections. We've had to revamp this twice. We've been using SMS for 2 years. It's important where your clients automatically go, what advertisements you automatically send to your clients. When you saw how many advertisements that machine screenshot had on it, 30 or 40, that gets very messy for the users to figure out what they're supposed to put on there quickly. And because machines can be in multiple collections, what we've settled on is a top-level tree of test and production with a main clients collection, with sub-collection for Windows 2000 and Windows XP, and those deliver the standard load of applications, Office, VNC, Captures, which is a screen capture utility we have a site license for. All the products we have a campus-wide site license for. And the relevant OS updates that aren't deployed to other methods, like Media Player 10, like the fix for .NET Framework that lets WSUS send .NET Framework updates properly, like DirectX 9, like IE6 for the Windows 2K boxes. And then we have a updates tree, which is all of our software updates, things like the driver update for the D800 video so that it can do projectors without having a heart attack. Like Adobe Reader 7.01, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, things like that. That's a big giant list. It gets big fast. And then we also have a software deployment tree where unusual software that people want deployed to a limited number of people, like Creative Suite, like SAS, like SPSS, etc., that we have specialized license for, either per machine or a limited number on the campus. And that allows us to find the machines and have a reasonable organization. Think about that and make sure that's appropriate for your environment, because revamping that's a pain. Users get new advertisements when they're, if you're going to change it, users will re-receive the advertisements that they already received, and that will confuse them. SMS allows for automation that didn't previously exist to having an enterprise management system. Make sure you talk about that before you implement this kind of a system. Will the help desk be able to send advertisements? Will the help desk be able to use the remote control functionality to take control of machines? Is that okay with people, that the help desk can come in and remotely control their machines? Talk about those kind of issues. And also talk about who's going to maintain the system. This kind of a system is a bridge between the server guys who sit in the server room all day administering the domain and the people who walk around installing software. It's work out and talk out how that responsibility is going to land, because that can cause a lot of problems. If I'm not an administrator on the SMS server, but I'm responsible for deploying packages, it creates an issue, because I can't create packages. If they're not willing to give up admin rights on a server so I can make them, we had that argument. Okay, some recommendations on implementation. How many servers do you need? We got 3,300 clients. We have 5 servers involved in SMS. Most of them are dual functionality. We have a big honkin' SQL server that is not just dedicated to SMS, but it is dedicated to SQL, so it's tweaked out for that. It also does our McAfee enterprise virus scan database and a couple other smaller databases. We have 3 distribution point servers that are located in order to spread the network load around. They also have dual functionality with other file shares on them because they're primarily file sharing boxes. And then one of them is our WSUS server. And then we have a primary site server, and that's the one that it only does SMS. It doesn't do anything else. You don't really need that much disk space on them unless you go wild with packages. Our distribution servers have about 40 gigs of packages on them because we've created a lot of packages. A lot of stuff that was just easy to deploy with SMS. You create the package and you can send it out. The site server, which doesn't actually do distribution, only has half a gig of stuff on it because SMS just isn't that big. It doesn't have the database on it. SMS by itself isn't that big. Cost. SMS is cheap if you have a Microsoft Enterprise agreement. It costs us for the SMS server $200 a processor for the servers. All the clients are included in our Microsoft Enterprise agreement. So it is very hard for another product to compete with this at the price. $200, well, it's $400 for our site server. Woo, we're done, okay. All the clients came with our standard Windows CALs that come with the Enterprise agreement. That's pretty standard. Of course, we do give Microsoft $450 grand a year for Office and Windows and all the CALs, but we're going to do that no matter what. Another issue is users will need some education. There's significant change in making professors understand what remote control means for them. We have full admin access on their machine already. The fact that we can remote control at their request does not make their machines any more secure, but that is still a scary thing for people sometimes when their mouse moves on its own. I mean, a lot of people freaked out on the phone when that happens. They also need to know how to find that control panel icon so they can install the advertisements. There is a notification box that comes up the first time an advertisement is sent to their machine, but it goes away after they ignore it for a while. They have to know to go find that. So there's some user education issues. And it requires enterprise-wide policy review. Things like help desk access and how the licenses will be handled. Things like SMS make it very easy to deploy something you have 10 licenses for to everybody on campus. Somebody needs to make sure that's being paid attention to. Okay, I'm going to see if I can make this machine work with the VPN. Do people have questions?
How does that integrate with any kind of reporting stuff so that you can give charts and graphs to like the big guys?
There's reporting built into it. There's a whole bunch of canned reports. There's 30 or 40 canned reports that come with it, and it's using an SQL language. So if you can write SQL or find one of your friends who can, you can write a report that'll pull any of that information out into a nice, pretty format. We have to do a lot of that.
You mentioned with having the help desk, users worrying about having help desk personnel be able to view their screen. Is there a built-in mechanism to allow different access levels? So if you have a PC support group to manage PCs and maybe a sysadmin to manage the servers and stuff like that, or is it if you can get in, do you have the keys to the SMS kingdom?
There is methods for limiting access. They are granular by process, so you can make it so somebody can add people to a collection, but then not be able to create packages or not remote control machines. Package creation is special because it requires drive access to the server, so you do have the keys to the whole kingdom if you can create new packages or new advertisements. But you can limit it to You can limit remote control. You can limit